get into the program, there's a lot of things that you had to do concerning your health and the things that you needed. So I had to get titers for varicella and some different shots that I hadn't gotten before, or that I already had. A hepatitis shot. I didn't need the hepatitis shot, but I had to get a titer stating that I was immune to hepatitis and that I didn't have it. So I had to get that done. That can be kind of costly if you don't have health insurance, or if your health insurance is one that's not willing to pay for these extra tests that you don't really need, or that wouldn't be needed otherwise if you weren't in the program. You're also going to have to get a, what's it called? PPD, which is a test they do for tuberculosis, where they stick your arm and it turns into a little bubble. If the bubble turns all gross looking, then you might have tuberculosis. And if it's flat and nice, then you're fine. You have to get those, and you have to get those quite often when I was in the program, just to make sure you weren't in contact with anything while you're in the hospital. So after you get all these things taken care of, you get your scrubs, all this stuff, we did what was called shadowing. And we did this for 3 days during the summer. So during the summer, we didn't have any courses, but we shadowed for 3 days at 3 different hospitals. It was from 8 to 4:30, and we literally watched the rad techs. You weren't allowed to touch anything. You weren't allowed to do anything. Don't touch nothing, don't move nothing, because you're not covered yet. So we weren't allowed to do anything yet. I don't even know if we had insurance yet. We were literally just shadowing. So once we were done with that, the fall, I'm guessing, is when our first courses really started. Like, we had some meetings during the summer. We had a CPR course together. We were constantly going back and forth about uniforms and getting our shoes and getting all of the medical stuff together, bringing your immunizations records, all these things. We're getting that stuff together. So by the time fall came, it was time to start our courses. And the first course that we started was positioning and physics and intro, I'm thinking it's intro to radiologic sciences or something like that. It was 3 courses. Whew. So let's talk about the courses. So the first course, the positioning course, is all about positioning. I think we started off with chest. Chest is the easiest thing that you're going to position, and that's what you start off with. So we had what was called lab evals. You go into a box, you pick out a number, whoever has the same number as you, that is your partner. You go into the lab. There are certain steps you have to do when you're in the lab. It was, hi, my name is Erica. Can you give me your full name and your date of birth? Is there any chance you could be pregnant? I need you to undress from the waist down and do this, that, and the other. You know, get all the metal off you. Is your belly button pierced? You know, things that you had to say when you got in there. You had to measure the patient, and you also had to shield the patient. If you missed certain steps, you automatically failed this exam. So you go in the room, the instructor's watching you, and it's like game time. It's like a whole like acting scene. Like, you have to be in character. So you go in there, hi, my name is Erica, blah, blah, blah. When's the date of your last menstrual, blah, 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 and you're like literally acting. And you go in there and you position the patient, and then they rather say go ahead or you failed, it's your partner's turn. And if you failed, you had to do an hour of remedial time studying, going over the steps over and over again, and then you had to come back and retest, and your score would be lower this time. Whew. So these lab evals all through the time. So what we would do is we would learn about a chapter, say we're learning about the hands this time, and then we would go over a lab eval, and then we'd have times to practice, and then it would be time for real lab evals, so we'd go in and we would be graded. And that's how positioning class worked. This is definitely a class that was completely and totally on Quizlet. Every single answer was on Quizlet verbatim and in the same order. So if you have a teacher like mine, make sure to go check out Quizlet, because everything was on there. The class was pretty simple. I wouldn't say that it was a hard class to pass or anything like that. That's definitely a definition type course. Yeah. Physics, on the other hand, was horrible. Now, I loved my physics teacher, but I just did not understand it, and nor did I want to. Now, I'm being totally completely honest with you guys. So if you guys are in it, be in it to win it. Like, go out there wanting to do this. But I would tell myself that I was gonna read it later, because I just could not pay attention while I was in class. But it's all about, there are formulas, it's math involved. You're talking about electromagnetic waves. Ultrasound is sound waves, so it has nothing to do with each other. That's why they're totally separate, and you don't learn together, because X-rays are electromagnetic waves. So you have to learn about radiation poisoning, anything that could happen. You have to learn about the KVP and the mass, which is the penetrating power and the amount of radiation that you're giving this patient. And it's, I know I sound like I'm talking crazy right now, because that's how I felt. It was so much to learn, and some of the stuff was on Quizlet, some of it was not. I was like completely baffled. Like, and then it's parts of the X-ray tube and what each part does. You have, I think the cathode is the negative side, the anode is the positive side. The cathode is where you want to put the thickest part of the body, because of some reason that I still don't know. It's a lot of stuff, and this just takes studying. This is going to be one of your tougher courses if you're not into physics and math and things like that, but it's not it's not doable, I guess. I know that's wrong. That is totally grammatically wrong, but it's doable, and you can do it. You really can. You really have to stay. You have to want to know it. You can ask your teachers for help. They're always willing to help you. You have to want it. The next class was so freaking simple. It was our intro to radiation. We talked about cultural diversity, working with different types of patients. Because some patients, like doing an x-ray, they don't want a man doing their wife's x-rays, or they don't want her to get undressed. They want to be in the room during the x-ray. There's so many things that go on with different cultures, and we have to adapt to that and be accepting of all cultures, and we talked about that. We even had a cultural diversity party where I talked about, I think, the Filipino culture, and I had to make something from the Philippines, and everybody had to make a different dish. I mean, it was more of like a high school fun class. And that was just basic stuff about radiation, just an introduction course about the different things, even dealing with people, talking to people, body language, eye contact, and all these things, gestures and things. So it was a pretty simple course. That's a complete A, easy course. Okay, so when that was over, we dropped that course, and I think this is going to be spring of the next year, my bad, and we took the second half of radiation protection and the second half of physics. So these are the exact same courses. Now we're moving on to the spine, x-raying of the spine, the thoracic spine, lumbar spine, knees. I think we already did hands and feet. So yes, knees and things like that. It's the same exact thing. It was all Quizlet type of stuff. You learn everything. You go in, you do your lab evals. If you fail, you do an hour of remedial time. You come back, you do it again. It was the same stuff. Same thing for physics. It got a little bit tougher. In a way, we had to learn how to do our own techniques. So how it works is, you look at my wrist. You put what's called a caliper on my wrist, and it's going to tell you how thick my wrist is. And this right here is supposed to help you be able to decide how much radiation this wrist of mine should get based on its size. So we had to create our own technique charts. We had to measure each other and figure out how much radiation to give each other based on the size of that certain body part. And I'm pretty sure we started with skull all the way down, or neck all the way, I can't even remember, but I know that we did pretty much every part of your body, every single position, and we had to do that on each other and create a technique chart that was graded. And I'm thinking that it started to get better at this time. It started to get better because especially we knew that this is our last semester of physics. So I only had 2 semesters of physics. I'm not sure how that's going to go for you. And I know of another program that started physics later, in the later semesters, where we started physics first and got it over with, which I'm thankful for. So when we're done with those 2 courses, I think that's all the ones that we took that semester. Then the summer semester, we moved into skull work and pathology. So skull work by far was one of the hardest courses. And it's not even that, it's so much. Like, we literally had a skull that was completely labeled, and we had to go around the room like with our pen and paper, and we'd have to like put what the name of that part of the skull was. And I mean, it was a lot. You have your occipital bones, and then you have your temporal bones, and then you have like ethmoid, everything up in your nose, and your sphenoid bones, and acoustic meatus, like all the things that are in your ear, and I can't remember all of them, your mandibular. It was a lot of different things, your palatine bone. It was a lot of stuff, and these skulls were labeled to the max. Every little piece was labeled, and we had to go around the room with our test papers and label throughout that skull. Like, the skulls were labeled like 1, 2, 3, like on pieces of an actual skull, and we had to go through and say what that was. So that was a little bit difficult, and just learning about the skull was a lot more difficult than learning about just your hands and your feet. And then positioning for the skull got kind of difficult too, because you have all these things. You have your IPL, which is your interpupillary line, I think. So that would be, pupillary line would be right here. So you need that part to be straight. So if you need that part to be straight, then the person had to put their head down, and that part had to be on there. It's a lot of stuff. I know I'm sounding crazy, like, what is she talking about? But there's a lot to it. Your meatal lines had to be around here. It was a lot of stuff about positioning that was just way more than what we started off with. Pathology, on the other hand, was one of my better courses. I think I made an A or B in that class. It's one that I really liked. You guys know I love pathology, and I love like the whole puzzle piece of medicine. So it was figuring out, why does this look that way? What is it? That's tuberculosis. That's what it looks like. That's cool. That's emphysema. I see it. So it's more like that. It's a lot of pictures. Then it had to do with a little bit of physics, because depending on what the condition was, you had to know how much radiation to give that person. So say the person had swelling, you're going to give more information for more information. You're going to give more radiation for someone with swelling because you have to be able to penetrate through all that swelling. But what if the person has a degenerative bone disease? Their bones are breaking down. So you don't want to give them more, you want to give them less because you don't need as much because everything's breaking down. You see what I mean? So I had to go back and forth and decide, okay, this right here is this, and I would give them more radiation. Okay, this right here is that, and I would give them less. And that's kind of how that class went. So after that, the last 2 semesters, what did we take? We were done with schoolwork. School was only during the summer. I think we started our rad tech review type of courses for the last 2 semesters, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, I'll put it in the description box, but I'm pretty sure that it was starting to be our rad tech review courses. And they were all right. It was no big deal. It was meh. Our rad tech review course was just it pretty much has taken just a bunch of practice registries over and over and over again until graduation. We're pretty much done. It was more about clinic. We had more clinic hours 3 times a week instead of 2. It was a lot more. This is also the time when we went to our senior rad tech trip. I think every year they have a different rad tech trip. One was in Florida, I think one was in Atlanta, and they kind of go back and forth depending on where you live, on where your trip is going to be. We had some people come to Atlanta from New York, so it really just depends. This trip was amazing. This is where I found my radiation science bachelor's program. We had plenty of speakers talk to us about taking the test. We had a mock registry. We stayed in this bomb hotel for a full week. I mean, bomb. This hotel was nice. And it was huge. I mean, crazy. We were in different groups within each other, and we went to different classrooms. We learned about the bones, we learned about oncology, which is the study of cancer, and pathology, and all these. We had seminars every single day, so it was pretty nice. You had a roommate that you got to pick from your class, not some stranger from another state, but from your class. So I picked one of my good friends from the class. You got your room key. I mean, it's you're in freaking Atlanta. You can do whatever you want. And we had time where we were able to just relax and chill and go out and do whatever we wanted to do. But then we also had seminars all throughout the day. It told you about all the different programs that they had to offer out there, from your CT programs, MRI, everything that you can think of. So it's a nice one, and definitely if your class is going to do that, you want to be a part of that. And if not, I'm pretty sure that you can find a way that you can be a part of it yourself and just go check it out and see what they have to say, because they had some amazing inspirational messages out there, and it was really, really fun. So then we came back. We were doing a lot of mock registry type of things. I think we all made like 50s and 40s on that registry when we took it. It was horrible. But yeah, so we got things together. We did practice resumes, practice interviews on what to do when you get a job in the field, how you can expand things, and then it was time for graduation. So we had to take a last registry exam, which I made, I think, a 74 or something like that. So I failed it and I had to come back and take it again, and I made a 77, and then I was able to graduate. And then I took my registry and made a 77 on my registry. And you just need a 75 to pass. For some reason, I don't really remember the courses that I took this semester before we started those rad tech review courses. And it's because I was pregnant with Kaiden. Well, no. Was I pregnant with Kaiden, or I just had Kaiden? I got pregnant I think the first semester we started or something like that. So I think I just had Kaiden in August. So that's why I don't remember what happened this semester, because I just had Kaiden. That's why I don't remember. So I'm going to put the courses that we did take down below. This was the time when I was banking hours before my pregnancy, before I delivered. I was working all these crazy hours, like 9 o'clock at night, trying to bank hours so I'd have to be able to graduate with everybody else. And then once I delivered Kaiden, I was working like 12-hour shifts and craziness to make sure that I graduated with everybody else, because I was not going to be that girl who didn't graduate with everybody else. So that's why I don't remember nothing. But that is pretty much it. That's everything that I can think of. If you guys have any more questions, make sure to let me know in the comment box down below. Like I always tell you guys, I love these education and career questions and us bettering ourselves and being positive. It is what I live for, and it is so much fun talking to you guys. So anything you guys want to know about that job field or whatever it may be, if you guys are wanting a ultrasound experience video, I don't know if I'm ready to make that yet, but whatever you guys are looking for, make sure to let me know in the comment box. And as always, I'll see you guys very soon. Like, rate, comment, and don't forget to subscribe, guys.